I finally canceled all my streaming services. After years of hopping between Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Max, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus, I've made the decision to reclaim both my time and money. Oh, and I canceled Apple Music as well. To be clear, this is not about hating TV or thinking streaming services are evil. It's about being intentional, about asking, does this actually fit into my life? But before we get into all that and go back to the start and see how I got here, be sure to give this video a like, comment what streaming services you actually like and if you actually get value out of them, or if you want to join me in freeing yourself from the recurring costs, regardless of how much or little you use it. Be sure to also give this video a like, subscribe to this channel for cultural commentary and rants for a man caught between generations, which has no recurring cost, or any cost really. Literally, you just click a button and you find out when I post a new video. Last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. I look forward to seeing you there. Over the years throughout the 2010s and 2020s, I had my own Netflix subscription after I could legally sign up for one as an adult because my parents had the two screens at a time plan, and I was very frustrated when I could not watch what I wanted to watch when I wanted to because two other people were using Netflix at the same time. So I got my own account, my own subscription, and I went from there. Towards the end of the 2010s and in the early 2020s, I also had my own Hulu Live TV bundle. I bundled in Disney Plus. No, I had Disney Plus separately, but that's beside the point. But by 2023 into 2024, I was on and off with Netflix. I had Hulu, Disney Plus, and Max bundled, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus. Then, at the start of 2025, I reduced it to mostly just Prime Video through Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus through Apple One Premiere. So, I could say I was not paying for any one specific streaming service on its own, except for temporary Netflix signups across January and February, and then August through October. My rationale was I don't regularly pay for streaming services on their own, except Netflix. I paid for Amazon Prime to get the no extra cost on shipping. I'm trying to avoid using the word free because if you have to pay the membership cost, then it's not technically free. It's included with the membership. And I was paying for Apple One Premiere to get, well, everything Apple had to offer for subscriptions. The only one of which I've kept is iCloud Plus because that actually has value for me because I'm not stupid enough to believe that external hard drives are invincible. I'm also not stupid enough to believe that cloud servers will always be there. No, I have both because I'm not stupid. Anyway, the point of all this is I realized towards October that I was just chasing content without thinking about time or value. It was the same thing with Apple Music. That was including Apple One Premiere. That was another reason I did that. Alright, technically I still have YouTube Music as part of YouTube Premium, but I subscribe to YouTube Premium for removing the ads and all the other things specific to YouTube. I don't use YouTube Music. I'll talk more about it in a minute, though. So I canceled all of these because I decided I would rather have the time and money to go out, see the city, enjoy the museum, the aquarium, or a movie, than just sit at home with way too many choices. And on top of that, I did not want to have to pay a recurring fee or not be able to watch something or listen to something. See, physical media fans make a really good point that one-time payments do give control. Digital stores balance that control with convenience and space saving, which is why I recommend that over physical media or other not legal means I'm not going to get into detail about because they are a crime on paper. I'm going to do a separate video on piracy and why that's a bad idea. But the point is, the digital stores that I used to purchase movies and shows on, and I still have access to all of because I purchased them, they're the happy halfway point I keep on bringing up. Specifically, I use the Apple Digital Store, formerly known as iTunes, to replace everything else, not just movies and TV with streaming services. I'm talking about the Music Digital Store, where you can buy individual songs for as little as 69 cents. Some at 99 cents, others at $1.29 at most. Unfortunately, some songs are locked behind full album purchases, but if it's that good, I can easily just pay that price and then hide all the filler songs I don't give a crap about. Either way, this arrangement makes me actually think about every single piece of media that I consume, whether it is an individual song or an album, whether it is a movie or whether it is a TV show. My plan is to buy what I actually want when I want it and not have pressure from recurring bills or arbitrary billing cycles to either use it to get my money's worth or stretch it out over this many billing cycles. Again, I either buy individual songs or albums if I really want to. And then if there's nothing I want to add to my collection, or if I don't have the money, I have a backlog I can go back to without having to pay another fee, and it's there indefinitely. Also, for movies I have not seen before, if I'm on the fence about them, I can rent them for as little as $4, like I did last week with The Running Man 1987 to prepare for The Running Man 2025. And I can pay as little as $6 to rent a relatively recent release for the Saturday movie in the event I can't get out to the city because of bad weather, illness, etc. I still roll my eyes at the physical media collectors who brag about owning their movies, which is an inaccurate term because, yes, you own the disc, or in the case of a printed book, the printed copy. But I hate referring to it as owning your media because that implies you bought the intellectual property rights, which, spoiler alert, you didn't. Ugh, I kind of puked in my mouth a little when I said the O word, but moving on. They were right about one thing. I'm going to give them this. A one-time payment is cleaner and generally nicer to only have to pay one time than have to pay $25 a month, or else I'm not going to be able to access anything. You control what you pay for, when, and how often. Again, I paid $4 to rent The Running Man 1987 last week. It was totally worth that $4 for being able to start watching it within 30 days of when I paid that $4 and then within 48 hours of when I started it, which is why I'm not on team physical over digital. Between the two, I'll take digital every time because when I buy a movie, show, or song digitally, I have indefinite access from one-time payment, many of which were now over a decade ago in my library formerly known as an iTunes library, except in extraordinary circumstances, if I'm being honest, but generally speaking, it's good enough for me because I can sign my Apple account into any device and instantly have access to my library. Thousands of songs, nearly 500 movies, and episodes from 38 shows as of recording, and that's just the stuff I haven't hidden due to no longer enjoying that specific movie or show, but I can always unhide it if I want. Examples include, but are not limited to, Rabbids Invasion because I just thought it was funny at the time and I wanted to be able to watch it when I wanted, so I did unfortunately spend money on that, and now it's hidden because I'm an adult now and I realize that show was really stupid. But hey, if I really want to watch it legally, I can just unhide it in my account anytime. Meanwhile, physical media is tied to a single disc or a cartridge in the case of Switch 1 and 2 games, but let's focus back on movies and TV. If something happens to a disc, scratches, damage, or even a player dying, it's over for that disc. It is no longer usable. For example, when I had the Fast and Furious 4K box set of the first 8 movies, I remember Tokyo Drift, that was scratched. It kept on freezing up at a certain point, and then I had to switch to the digital copy, and I saw no difference in terms of the visual quality, and I was like, why in God's name am I paying for these discs? I'm still getting the digital copies included with them anyway, and why bother with the clutter of the discs when I can just pay a one-time cost for the digital copy, either to rent it for a short period of time, or pay whatever more it costs to have indefinite access. Sure, I can say something similar about discs with their flaws with the internet as a whole. But if the internet disappears tomorrow, we've got worse problems than whether or not people can watch TV. Like, comment what you think the worst part of the internet disappearing would be, because contrary to what the technophobes say, it would not be a good thing if it just disappeared tomorrow. Worst case scenario when it comes to movies and TV and music, in my case, is that if it's not complete societal collapse, it would be Apple servers specifically failing. But if it's a choice between that, which is extremely unlikely, or a disk getting scratched, which happens way too often, once is too often in my opinion, but I digress, because of, as a result, it'll freeze and skip. I will take my chances with the internet and Apple's servers any day of the week over the risks with a disc. Hey, that rhymes. Digital media lets me keep everything I've paid for without physical clutter, without worrying about a disc taking a nosedive off a shelf or getting scratched and becoming unusable. And hey, to all you physical media people out there, enjoy your physical media. I'm not telling you you can't enjoy it if that's really something you enjoy, but understand there are still risks associated with it. You still risk losing access to the movie or show that's on the disc the same way I risk losing access to the movie or show in my Apple account. The difference is yours could happen with just a scratch of a disc that is nobody's fault, unless you want to blame gravity. And in my case, it's a matter of whether the power, the internet, and the company exist. See? There are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. Comment the trade-offs you're willing to make for your choice of how you enjoy movies, TV, music, etc. Now, for my current subscriptions, because there's always going to be some kind of cost to life or to anything really, I only have the essentials for me. Okay, not all of these are essentials to everyone else, but these are essential to me. AMC A-List for at least one movie per week out of the weekly maximum of 4. Because as I record this on Monday, November 17th, I went to see The Running Man 2025 on the 15th, and the re-release of Wicked Part 1 on the 16th. And I just booked my ticket for Avatar 3 in December. So you see, $26 a month, that's good value for me for all of that. I literally got my money's worth for this billing cycle over the weekend alone. So yeah, that actually provides value. iCloud Plus, I have that. I already explained it. I'm not repeating myself. Switch Online expansion pack. I'm actually playing through Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition right now, and let me just say, I am really glad that I have it as part of the expansion pack. $50 a year isn't too bad for that, and pretty much every retro game Nintendo has ever published. So there's that. And I can take it all on the go. Amazon Prime, I have that for shipping. Okay, technically, I have Amazon Music through this and Amazon Prime Video. The difference is I don't use Amazon Music because I prefer my curated old iTunes playlists from purchases and CD imports that I'm going to do a separate video on. And I believe I mentioned YouTube Premium earlier in YouTube Music, so I don't use those particular aspects. I use Amazon Prime for the shipping, and that's it. I use YouTube Premium, which is another one of the few subscriptions I have because I actually appreciate and use that one, to remove ads from YouTube videos, download stuff offline, play them in the background on my phone. Maybe a little too much sometimes, I'll admit. But again, I prefer my curated, formerly iTunes library that I will do a separate video about. Hi, Edic Henry here. Just wanted to also clarify something about Amazon Prime. I got rid of the $3 a month ad block for Prime Video. So because Prime Video has ads on it now for me, I just don't use it. Like I said, if it has ads, I'm just not going to watch. Because it's not about the money, it's about the time. And then, of course, I have the museum and aquarium memberships, so that I have somewhere to go before, or possibly after, my Saturday movie, and somewhere to go on Sundays if I don't have a movie I want to go see. And then, in addition to that, I put aside weekly deposits for insurance, birthdays, and Christmas gifts. My philosophy is that I focus on what brings true value. Streaming services are not inherently bad. I want to make that very clear. I had that coworker I think I told you about who called Netflix a quote ripoff, and while I do agree that $25 a month is a bit pricey, that's for me personally, and I just prefer being able to decide if and when I pay for something when I watch something. Like $4 for watching The Running Man last week, the original. So for me, streaming services just aren't right for me or anyone else who prefers a one-time purchase over a recurring fee to access everything that's there. Anyway, the point of all this is take control over both your money and time with this kind of thing. That's my reasoning. I prefer not to have the pressure to binge because I need to finish before the billing cycle so I can cancel it and not have to pay another $25 a month. I don't want to have to pay if I'm not using it or not using it enough, and so that I can watch a movie or an episode or two of my show, take an entire week off if I damn well please, and it'll still be there for me without having to pay extra. And again, I can pay extra when I want to watch something I haven't already seen, and I can control how much of that I pay to an extent. Obviously, I have to pay $4 to rent a movie, but I can choose if and when I rent a movie, if I buy it, or if I watch it. So, yeah, to recap, I went from peak subscriptions to focused spending, and it's all about intentionality. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here for the video by saying I'm going to do a separate video on how to do a music library from the software formerly known as iTunes so that you don't have to pay $11 a month for Apple Music or whatever amount it costs per month for any of the other music streaming services. If you like streaming services, I respect your decision to subscribe to them, but seriously, think about what actually brings value to your life. Time and money are finite, so choose wisely. And maybe, just maybe, you don't need all the streaming services. Maybe you just need the ones that have what interests you. Or you can join me in intentional digital purchases for indefinite access, barring a societal collapse or a complete failure of servers. So let me know in the comments what you think about all this, what your alternatives to streaming are. Make sure to also give this video a like, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. Unlike other subscriptions out there, it's free and easy. Make sure to also join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord to keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.